Today I want to cover in this video blog Judgment Day. We are going to look at the scripture to understand this day and why it is not different from the judgment seat of Christ. To understand Judgment Day, we have to understand God's plan and the reason for salvation. To do this, we're going to have to look at the laws of God first. According to Deuteronomy chapter 5 verse 16, it says, "Honor your father and your mother, as the Lord your God has commanded you, and that the days may be prolonged, and it may go well with you in the land which the Lord your God gave you." So we have to obey our parents. But what happens if we don't obey our parents? Deuteronomy 21:18, "If a man has a stubborn and rebellious son, which will not obey the voice of his father or the voice of his mother, when they have corrected him, will not listen to them, and his father and mother will take him, bring him to the elders of the city, and unto the gate of his place. And they shall say unto the elders, This is our son. He is stubborn and rebellious, and will not listen or obey our voice. He is a glutton and a drunkard. And the men of the city shall stone him with stones, and he will die, so that the evil be put away from the land and among you. And all Israel shall hear and fear." Now, of course, this is talking about a rebellious son in the flesh sense. But this is to be an example of what the spirit world is going to be like. Remember, God gave us laws about obeying our parents, and He uses these laws Himself. He will not require something of us if He's not willing to do it Himself, and we're going to see that a little later on. But before then, we're going to look at the most famous scripture of the Bible. It has to be. For John 3:16 says, "For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whoever believes on Him should not perish, but have everlasting life." Notice the word is should not. Many people say shall not. There's a difference. Just believing on Christ alone will not grant you salvation. I would say get you to heaven, but that's incorrect. It will not grant you, it will not get you salvation. Just believing God. James 2:19 says, "You believe there is one God, you do well. The devils also believe and tremble." So I'm planning on doing a blog on what is a true Christian to explain this even more. But what happens when a person dies? A lot of people think, oh, we go to heaven or hell. No one's judged yet. We all return back to the Father in heaven. 2 Corinthians 5:8, "We are confident, I say, and willingly rather to be absent from this body is to be present with the Lord." Meaning when I'm dead, I'm with God. Ecclesiastes 12:5, starting about the latter half of the verse, says, "And the desire shall fall, because man goeth to his long home, and the mourners go into the streets. Or even the silver cord be loose, the golden bowl be broken, the pitcher be broken at the foundation, or the wheel be broken at its centre, or the little hole in the wheel. And the dust shall return to the earth as it was, and the spirit shall return unto God who gave it." So when we die, both of these states, that once we die, this flesh goes back to the dust, and our souls go back to be of God. We will all be judged at the last day of this earth age, and I want to do a blog on the end days as well. But the judgment seat of Christ and the great white throne judgment are the same, despite what some people say. We're going to look at it. Judgment seat of Christ. Romans 14:10, "But why does you judge your brother? Or why do you set or despise your brother? For we all shall stand before the judgment seat of Christ." Notice it says all. Not just Christians, it says all. 2 Corinthians 5:10, "For we must all," notice all again, "appear before the judgment seat of Christ, that every one," notice it says every one, "may receive things they done in his body, in this flesh, according to what we have done, our works, whether it be good or bad." It says all, and it refers to our works. Again, we're going to find that in Revelation chapter 20, starting with verse 10. "And I saw a great white throne, and him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and heavens fled away, and they could not find a place for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God. And the books were open, and another book was open, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of these which were written in the books according to their works. And the sea gave up the dead within them, and death and hell delivered the dead which were in them, and they were judged every man according to his works, whether it be good or bad, as we read. and death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death, the perishing that John 3:16 talked about. And whoever was not found written in that book of life was cast in the lake of fire. Now I notice a lot of people say, oh, here's hell, we are sent to hell. This word hell in the Greek is Hades, which can either mean the afterlife or the grave. Does not mean we're judged yet. The grave is destroyed is basically what is being said here. Death, if you go back to, I believe it's in Hebrews, is another name for Satan. He's destroyed as well. We'll see him destroyed as well later on. But the flesh dies naturally. We can just die either by this body being shot or just wearing out, or some people say transfiguration, which is the body's just no longer here. It's dead. It's not living no more. But the soul can be destroyed. A lot of people don't realize that. Matthew 10:28. Fear not those who can kill this flesh body and not able to kill the soul, but rather fear him who is God, which can destroy the body and soul in hell. Now this hell is Gehenna. It stands or represents for the lake of fire that we read in Revelation. We have proof, though, that there is a soul will be destroyed. For those who don't think a soul would ever be destroyed. And that's Satan's soul. We'll look in Ezekiel about that. Ezekiel 28:18. Thou hast defiled the sanctuaries by the multitude of your iniquity, and by the iniquity of your trade. Therefore I will bring forth a fire from within you, and will devour you, and I will bring your ashes upon the earth in the sight of all that beholds them. Kind of like cremation. There's going to be nothing left, what basically God says when he destroys Satan. There's not going to be nothing left, but nothing but ashes. A remembrance of what was. But how can this be? Well, God is an all-consuming fire. Hebrews 12:29. For our God is a consuming fire. Also as well, we find in the Old Testament, Deuteronomy 4:24. For the Lord thy God is a consuming fire, even a jealous God. Now, I listened to some talk shows, at least one talk show lady, that could not understand how can God be a jealous God, and of what? This person, I must say, must never have been in a relationship. And I seriously don't think she has kids either. I don't think. Don't hold me to it though. Now, most, if not all people I know, even myself, gets jealous if you have someone you love and you give all your love to, and that person does not return your love, but even worse, gives it to someone else. I don't know about you, but I don't want to see my girlfriend in the arms of another guy flirting with him. And I know some girls that want to see their boyfriends in the arms of another girl flirting with him, or flirting with them. Now remember, Israel is God's wife, Jeremiah, and the church is the bride of Christ. So we can see why God would be jealous if he finds us flirting with Satan. Now remember, this status of wife and bride is to show how much he loves us and his feelings for us. God is also our parent. The one true God is our parent because he created us. He spoke us into existence. And he only claims those children of his that claim him as their father and serve him. Key point, serving. Those that refuse to claim him or deny him or don't listen to him, they claim him but they don't listen to him, he will see them as the rebellious son that we saw in the law. And that child will be put to death. We call it the second death. Now redemption, put simply, means to buy back or to pay off a debt of a relative. Because of our rebellious nature and not listening to our Father in heaven, we should be put to death. We ought to be put to death. Not only should be, we ought to be. Alright, Jesus said, I will pay that price by dying on the cross. That's why he hung there. And anyone who wants that redemption, that debt to be paid off, that sentence to be lifted from you, all you have to do is believe on Jesus and serve the Father in heaven by what his word says in the Bible. It's that simple. We're all going to be judged on Judgment Day. Or you can be judged according from what the Corinthians says, I believe. Let me double check. Yeah, Corinthians 5:10. Or you can be judged by your works, whether it be good or bad. Those who are judged good enter into the new heaven and new earth age. Those who are judged bad and not found in that Lamb's book of life are judged to the lake of fire for the second death. I thank you for taking your time to listen to me.